We want to turn now to Mr. Pete Callender from the Pete Callender Show podcast. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Just rolling through a foggy morning here for the most part.
Yeah.
So I know this is going to sound like an arena football game that I'm going to announce the teams for here, but it's actually not.
I thought it sounded more like the bowling league name for a knitting club.
It would be talking about the Texas Super Spreaders, if you will. I think is how I heard them referred to. And look, the group of House Democrats from Texas that left in an effort not basically to filibuster, not voting on the voting rights bill. There.
No. Hang on, Mark. They could not be possibly engaged in some sort of filibuster equivalent, considering that's Jim Crow 2.0.
Kind of wondered that myself, but they kind of gave Republicans an awful lot of ammunition here. Number one, but number two, it seems like they've gone 2 for 2 in the places that they visited, because the Speaker of the House's office and the White House now have people that have been confirmed that picked up COVID, and they think it was from these meetings.
Yeah, so they're giving the Republicans ammo and they're giving Democrats COVID. That's apparently what the super spreaders are all about. So brave, the breathless coverage of privileged people refusing to show up for work. They then board a private charter jet with no masks, a case of beer, which, by the way, required to present IDs to get on board said jet, all to protest proposed laws requiring IDs to vote. And they then land in D.C. They do their press conference, one of the cringiest press conferences, where a couple of the members launched into the, we shall overcome him. And then it became very obvious that some of the other Democrats behind the podium in full view of the cameras don't know any of those lyrics. And now we have 6 members of this delegation. There was like 50 to 60 of them. I don't know if there was ever a real firm count, but now 6 of them have tested positive. And this is all a PR stunt to not just block the Texas legislation, but also to, quote, pressure federal lawmakers to pass the For the People Act, right, which is more accurately described as For the Democratic Politicians Act. And so that's the added layer of PR.
So here's the question is going to be, what do they gain from this, or do they gain anything? Because this could not have gone any worse for them. I mean, just the simple fact that they caught COVID, right? I mean,
they're lobbying for a mask mandate, and none of them wore masks. Like, they were not wearing masks on their trip, and now they're up there talking about a mask mandate. And I don't know, Governor Cooper apparently has got another press conference today, and I'm very worried, because now it seems like, how goes California, so goes Cooper. And like, I'm thinking that he's looking at some more of these lockdown orders and mask mandates, and I'm thinking he's going to use the Delta variant in order to try to reinstitute some of these restrictions.
Yeah, I got a press release earlier from the governor's office. If I'm not mistaken, it says he will be with the coronavirus task force today to update COVID-19, but they don't go into detail on it. And I'm under the assumption that they still are allowing in-person attendance. I thought that would be probably one of the first things that got changed, because basically all of their press conferences for nearly 18 months were unattended. They were all done virtually by phone.
Yeah, they've only done, I think, 2 at this point that have been in person. This will be the 3rd. So probably want to nip that in the bud. Just go ahead and cancel all of the in-person stuff going forward. What his state of emergency declaration, the emergency declaration, or as I call it, the ED, that expires at the end of the month. And so he has to re-up this, because of course he would. Why wouldn't he? He still believes we are in a state of emergency, and so he wants us all to keep living with the fear And now there's this, politicization of the vaccinations and how we are lagging and how evil Republican people are, Trump supporters, they're not getting the vaccines. But actually, if you break down the data, it's it's a vast majority are Democratic voters, minority voters, and they're not getting the vaccines. And so now we're doing the door-to-door thing. And they were like, oh, we're not going to send federal agents. Don't you worry about it. You guys are crazy, paranoid MAGA heads. And then all of a sudden we got National Guardsmen walking around with the health department people out in Johnson County, North Carolina. You got the left-wing activist group Action NC. They're going door to door in Charlotte, and so it's like, okay, guys, you're making this push. He's now set up the vaccine passport. Don't call it a passport; it's just an information card. So I'm just looking at all the signs and saying he's going to go more towards lockdowns.
And just real quickly, interestingly enough, with the door-to-door thing, it looks like that whole door-to-door effort could actually be in violation of a North Carolina privacy law.
Mark, we don't follow those in times of emergencies. That's why he's got the emergency declaration. He can do anything he wants. Come on, Mark.
I just wonder if that's included in that, though.
He's like the guy from, what was that show, Parks and Rec, who has the permit. It's now a GIF. It's a meme, right? Where he's like, oh, I have a permit, and he hands it to the cop, and it just says, well, this just says I can do what I want. Like, that's the emergency declaration that Cooper's got.
It's going to be interesting to see how all this fares out. We will have all the info from the press conference this afternoon. We'll make sure we get that up at WWNC.com. Pete, I know you'll be watching it as well. We always appreciate the time, sir. We'll look forward to catching up with you very, very soon.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it, man.
You got it. Take care. Make sure you visit thePeteCallenderShow.com. You can find more from Pete Callender right there on the website. 8:50 right now.